Hello there and welcome to this live chapter reading for Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Today I shall be reading from The Ghostly Diva by Sandra L. Young. Chapter 1, January 2010. When the mannequin's hand clattered to the floor for the third time, Justine Saunders reached her limit for patience. She muttered an expletive as it bounced under a hoop skirt large enough to hide 3 kids and a dog. She glanced around the cavernous lower level of the LaPorte County Museum, past a mastodon jawbone and the salmon-hued fins of an edsel. Luckily, no one lurked nearby. Her boss would shrug off a complaint of his assistant curator cursing, but their government overseers would not. With LaPorte County's current financial distress, she shouldn't place herself in the cost-cutting crosshairs. Justine stifled a laugh and returned to changing out her clothing. The best part of her job was curating her vintage clothing collection, ranging from pioneer calicos to 1960s chic. Having passed the New Year's mark, she now switched from 1930s holiday frocks to Civil War-era winter garb. She lifted the metal hoop, releasing a rustle of pine green taffeta, and stretched low into the darkness for the bothersome hand. Beyond the ruffled bloomers, she latched onto the digits, disturbing the dust beneath. Her sneeze jabbed pain into her lower back in an unsubtle reminder of avoiding yoga class for weeks. She clutched her back, staggered upright, and glared at the mannequin. "Are you playing with me?" Across the room, the dozen light bulbs that framed an antique hotel sign blinked, a charming effect, except she knew the sign wasn't plugged in. Her lips pursed. "Cut it out, I'm busy." Physical manifestations weren't new here. On Halloween, when she'd heard notes tinkling from the Victorian parlour's upright piano, she bobbed her head in rhythm and continued on her way. The week after Thanksgiving, Justine had watched a transparent figure glide across the Edwardian library. When she asked, "What's your name?" the thready voice sent shivers down her body. "Hazel," walked through a table and disappeared. Her boss, Carl Olsen, expressed a hint of jealousy after she relayed the incidents to him. The director himself had never experienced spooky encounters, though volunteers through the years swore to similar happenings. Justine reasoned some artifacts and ghosts exerted bursts of psychic energy, waiting for the right person to intercept them. The mannequin, however, was just a modern pain in the butt. A fur muff could disguise the problem handily. On a mission to find one, she snickered at the pun and ran up the concrete staircase to the main floor, where rows of cases resembled parallel train tracks. Carl sat in their shared glass-enclosed office and turned at her approach. She waggled the mannequin hand in a friendly wave, and his laugh sputtered out with a spray of coffee, and he pointed an accusing finger before composing himself to answer the ringing landline. Entering the back doorway into the storage area, she jolted when the intercom buzzed. Carl's muffled voice floated into the room. "Justine, pick up line 2. Some impatient dude wants to donate clothing." Cold symptoms transformed into his usual mellow toll into gravel. Drum roll. His mum was Lisa Maddox, the actress. What if he wants to give us some costumes? Excitement also coloured his words. Her boss was a starstruck movie fan. "I'm on it." Justine wrinkled her nose before returning to their shared hometown of LaPorte a year before. Liza Maddox only performed small roles in a couple dozen movies and television shows, but at least the woman had been in the movies instead of spending Saturday nights at home watching them alone. "I'm on it." She pushed the blinking button and adopted a cheery tone. "Good morning, this is Assistant Director Justine Saunders. How may I help you?" "I'm supposed to talk to you about donating these old clothes." He did sound gruff and harried. She imagined a frowning older man irritated at being kept on hold. "Yes, I can help you, sir." She ramped up the polite factor to calm him. "Could you tell me more about the items you've got?" "What I've got?" He exhaled with force, annoyance cutting over the line. "I hoped you could tell me what I have. Look, I'm no expert here, but my mother and grandmother left reams of old stuff I thought might have historical interest. If not, I'll call a local thrift shop." No, taken aback by his curtness, she jumped in. "We definitely prefer to see your items. We can set up an appointment for you to bring them to the museum. You can come here. I don't have the time or the inclination to schlep it out to you." Part of her wanted to tell him to haul it to Goodwill and don't let the door hit him in there. Yet the temptation to delve through a treasure hoard of vintage clothing was just too enticing to ignore. She'd go in the daytime. If the vibe felt off, she'd leave. "All right, were you thinking of a time frame?" Tomorrow afternoon. I need to unload the stuff as soon as possible before heading out of this slow-motion town. Where did this rude, impatient person live that ranked so superior to her beloved hometown? She bit the inside of her lip to avoid slapping him back with a defensive zinger. LaPorte, Indiana showed progress in the downtown revitalization. The latest efforts provided fun activities in a new plaza and supported entrepreneurs to open businesses, including a coffee shop and an artist gallery. She countered the caller's attitude with a civil tone. Glad he couldn't see the snarky expression on her face. How about 3 o'clock? Fine. 2506 Michigan Avenue. He clicked off. She glared at the intercom. Goodbye to you too. Jerk. As she ran the address over in her mind, she scanned the metal shelving units in a cavernous storage room. The staff hung sturdy vintage garments on racks, but other items were stashed in labelled plastic containers. She found the small fur pieces and mused about the call. Michigan Avenue, the grand old street, boasted maple trees and lawns edged with tended bushes and flower gardens. Despite the nasty conversation, she wanted to see the place and sort through the clothing. If they couldn't use the offerings at the museum, some could be donated to Little Theatre, where she enjoyed costuming plays and musicals. Her own phone buzzed in her pocket, and for a moment she froze, thinking a nasty caller caught the sign-off comment and called back to berate her. Foolish, his call came in on the museum landline, not her personal cell. She dug the vibrating phone out of her tan slacks and took a peek. Drysdale Museum flashed on the screen. After the county's financial predicament worsened over the past month, she applied for positions on a job match link. Her pulse thrummed in her throat. Despite the effort, she really hadn't anticipated receiving any responses. She swallowed hard and answered with a pleasant tone, ignoring the quiver of tension skimming through her body. Hello, this is Justine Saunders. Miss Saunders, my name is Lynn Redman from Human Resources at the Drysdale Museum in Chicago. I'm calling to set up a Skype interview for the curator position. Thank you, that's wonderful news, she fanned her suddenly warm face with a free hand. We're scheduling for Monday with Executive Director Samantha Chan. Are you available at 11 o'clock? Absolutely, I'm honoured to have the opportunity. Her mind whirled to recall her upcoming calendar. Wait, she worked on Saturday. Monday will be a day off. She won't have to concoct a reason to be gone for the morning. Good, the woman continued with brusque efficiency. I'll forward you the Skype information via email. The Drysdale is a lovely museum. I look forward to meeting her. Thank you again. They exchanged goodbyes and clicked off. Justine blew out a shaky breath and stuffed the phone in her pocket. Carl's assessment of the most recent county budget meeting sounded dismal. Through no fault, tax collections were snagged, creating a drastic need for reductions in expenses across all departments. He reasoned the museum was certain to take a hit because local artefacts didn't draw enough attention. People exited the town of 22,000 residents and accelerated, zooming past their sprawling red brick buildings surrounded by cornfields. The next day, she launched a discreet job hunt. Despite the unstable situation here, she had to force herself to apply for the position, yet she couldn't deny a thrill of exhilaration. The Drysdale, a mid-sized Chicago museum, was interested in her. Granted, not at the same administrative level, but a post in the city could be stepping stone to greater things. With a fist pump in the air, she returned to the storage box to pluck out an oversized mink muff. She halted, fingers sunk in silky fur. Her life would come off super boring in an interview. For 3 decades, she lived in this smallish town, leaving only to achieve her history degree at a downstate college. 8 years prior, she accepted the assistant position. Straight out of school. Yes, she stayed on because she loves it, but also partially out of inertia. She closed the box and headed to the door, reminding herself of the basic underlying reason for the job search. Better to resign on her own terms rather than face the axe. If she left, that might even protect other positions and programs. Nerves churned in her stomach. Moving to Chicago would definitely shake up her dull lifestyle. In LaPorte, family, friends and work dominated her world. Would she fit into the big city hustle of traffic and humanity? What would be worse, remaining here unemployed or failing to meet the standards of a demanding new workplace? The implications of her move seared her brain as she clutched the muff and manikin hand and left the room. Outside the storage area, a shadowed figure stood waiting at the end of the hallway. Justine stopped and stared. The woman, garbed in a sweeping cloak and plumed hat, appeared more solid than the ghost she usually saw. When the arm stretched out towards her, Justine backed against the door and heard one word whisper in the air. Mine. Gloved finger beckoned to her. The insinuation clicked. This is your muff? Tempted to roll it along the floor, she held the black fur aloft to discourage an approach. The spinet nodded once and dissolved. She stuck in a breath. These damn manifestations were growing bolder. They didn't scare her exactly, but she preferred they leave her alone. After taking a few moments to regain composure, she attempted to tiptoe around their office to avoid Carl. Not because of the ghost. Her face might give away her deep secret. She wasn't ready to share about the job search or the interview at an early stage. Carl's boss radar pinged, and he motioned her forward. I hope you enjoyed this chapter reading and that you'll go check out the book. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.